belief in the school systems, belief
Good
that we're
one.
here to support our students and to encourage thinking, creativity, ability to discern and read, to like really actually be educated. I would love for people to like just recognize that schools can and do provide good quality education and the ability for kids to become good citizens.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Brighter Together podcast. My name is Janet Courtney, and my special guest today is Susan Austin. Susan is the assistant superintendent at Maine School Administration District number 60, which is also Noble. And they are located in North Berwick, and Lebanon, Maine. Susan, thank you so much for being here. I got that out. It was a mouthful, but I got there.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So tell us a little bit about the school district that you serve and what's going on there.
Okay. So Noble is made up of 3 different towns, North Berwick, Berwick, and Lebanon, as you said. We have approximately 2,700, 2,800 students pre-K through 12th grade. It's a diverse for Maine school in terms of economic discrepancies and just all the pieces that go with that. But I would say in a nutshell, it's kind of like most American districts and high schools, or schools in general. Our students are, they range for what the kiddos that graduate from Noble. Many go right directly into the workforce, and we're helping to encourage them, in terms of like really good and solid jobs. Really encouraging now to get back into the trades and, looking at the big issues that happen when you graduate and have to, you take on, if you're going on to college, that's just we try to help them understand, like, what does that mean in terms of their own economic needs as they go forward.
It's a big debt now.
It's a huge expense.
It's a huge expense. And I've been hearing that and seeing that. I don't know what the statistics are on it. I'd be curious maybe I'll look into it later, but that people, high school students are going into the trades. I mean, and it's a skilled service anyway, because there's so much that they have to know now, right?
Yes, for sure. And we have in our community, in our area, we have a lot of folks who are in the trades looking for that next generation. And so we're trying to meet those needs by, developing relationships with all of our local businesses and trying to just beef up that whole piece about like what's the best avenue to get our students into the next steps, the next positive pieces of their lives that may not include the most traditional form of like, going on to a 4-year college or whatever. Maine also and this is our last year of that, but they were paying for community college for 2 years for any student that wanted to do that. So They could really take advantage of that and really think about like, what do they need? And so I think that's been a positive. It is now going away, just because you can't fund things forever. And that's really what's been happening. But anyways, all of that, like, I think we're fairly traditional and pretty normal for the rest of the world. We do some things differently in our system where we team our students throughout their academic years, basically trying to make a larger system a little bit smaller and make sure that adults know their children and their students well, so that kids don't get lost.
Right.
That's certainly something that happens in other places, and we try really hard to make sure that we meet those needs.
What do you mean when you pair them up? I'm not following what that means.
Okay,
Explain that a little bit for me.
Our students, so when they enter 7th grade, for instance, they're put on a team of 4 teachers, and they're those kids. And so those teachers get to know those kids really well. They move into this next grade, and they actually often they move together. And so the teachers from 7th grade can chat with the 8th grade teachers, pass on some really good information, transitional stuff. We might make some changes about a few students based on interactions that maybe need to be different, or based on the student needs and the adult needs or the adults that are being, like, say that the kids moving into 8th grade there's maybe a few that need a particular type of style, and they maybe move to a different team for them. But
Right.
so
That makes sense.
basically, it's just trying to make a system where kids are known well
Hmm.
so that they're not lost in the shuffle. And
And
we're not a huge system
right.
compared to many places, but for the state of Maine, we're a pretty large district.
And when someone knows your name, it matters. It
It does.
really
Yeah,
does
it
matter.
absolutely does.
Yeah.
Yep, it
You know.
absolutely does.
And that's something like before we start the podcast every
Yep,
time, I'm just going to tell on myself here. I always review the
yep,
information about my podcast. I mean, I'm
yep,
not going to remember every single thing, but
yep,
I want to make sure I get your name, the name of
yep,
your school, where
yep,
you are.
yep.
It's so important. And we
It
talked
is.
about that even a little bit before we started.
Yep.
It's just names matter,
Names
and
matter.
you
Yep.
you need
Names
to you
matter.
need that, and I love that for your kids, that that's
Yeah, I mean,
something
as
that is in the
as we talked,
forefront.
the fact that we're called Noble is really because it's the acronym for North Berwick, Berwick, and Lebanon, and that is what was able to pull the community together to support this community school in 1960 something when they actually
Ah,
formed. They were really struggling with a name, and that's the name that pushed it forward to say, yeah, we are in this together. So
yeah,
it is very strong. Names are like, you know what it is. It's
yeah,
very
yeah,
strong.
yeah.
Um, so one of the things we don't have a lot of time, so I'll just some of the things that I'm really passionate about are related to some of those kiddos that struggle the hardest.
Mm-hmm.
I am the McKinney-Bento liaison, which means that I work with any of our homeless families and students, and I specifically work with high school students who are not living in stable housing. So we do a lot of work to support those students, and make connections for kids and work with them to like get the needs met for them when they don't have that stable life at home. We try to do what the things that we can. We have host families that take students in. We have another whole nonprofit on the side, which is not um, it's not related to the district, but it is related to the district. So it's
Gotcha.
it's
Yeah.
called the Ryan Home Project, and we serve the students of Noble. So we bought a home, we provide housing for students that are struggling, and provide host homes for families. So this it's a really important piece that our community has supported in a big way. Like
Wow,
they
that's
they they just do
fantastic.
that work. Yeah, and the other piece of that is that we work with neighboring communities to try to establish something for their kids as well. It looks different in every town because every kid
Mm-hmm.
is different.
Yeah.
But the fact is that the only way to really look at and end the difficulty of homelessness, particularly for students, which is my focus, is right in our own communities, doing the
Yeah.
work within, because nobody else is going to come in and fix it for you.
Because if
Uh,
you're homeless, your chance of dropping out of high school are
yeah,
exponentially higher, I'm sure.
much. Yes, agreed.
Yeah.
Yes, very much so. And just feeling unseen a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times for our students, so that they don't feel like they can ask for the services that they need. And just all of those pieces of just feeling less than. And so
Mm-hmm.
our goal is to equalize the playing field for everybody. And
I'm
that actually gets
curious.
me in. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm curious about and I don't want this to be, I don't know how to ask the question without it seeming like I'm being judgmental, but
Mhm.
the shame factor, there's a
Yep,
shame factor in there, isn't there? I mean, I'm
100%.
not,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
not everybody is homeless because they want to be, right? I
Right.
mean,
Most people are not,
most
right?
people are not, right? Most
Yeah.
people want to, and I heard someone call them the unhoused, and I'm like, well,
Yep.
that's an interesting term for it.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
I mean, and I know we're trying to take the stigma away from it, but how do
Yep.
you deal? Because there's a piece of that is that I'm sure they feel some shame, and it's through no account of anything they've done on their own. So how
Right.
do you manage that piece of it?
It's constant conversations and
Mm,
making sure that we do the best we can to get kids in counseling
mm,
with folks that support them. But that's absolutely the truth. I brought a gal home from one place to the other yesterday, and she just was talking about how she doesn't like to ask for help. She doesn't
yeah.
want people to feel she feels very judged even when
Mm-hmm.
people are not being judged, or judgmental.
Mm-hmm.
She feels like it's best to fly under the radar, because nobody wants to be seen as so different and
Right.
so um almost like they just don't feel like they deserve to be treated
Oh,
like a
that's a
regular human.
heartbreaking.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
that's
totally heartbreaking.
heartbreaking.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
And we work really hard to get those kids to a place where they can feel like they can advocate for themselves, and
Mm-hmm.
we try to set them up in ways, but it's a lot. It's a lot. And
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
it, unfortunately, a lot of students tend to turn to substances,
Mm-hmm.
which then creates another whole stigma that goes with the whole piece of it. I mean,
You're
so
homeless and now you're a drug addict
yep,
and you're never
yep,
going to be anything.
yeah,
And
or
they've
you're
probably
yep,
heard some of that their whole
yep,
life. Someone's
yep,
been telling them they're
mhm,
not
yep,
worthy and,
yeah, yeah.
oh
The
gosh,
not
all of
worthy
that.
piece is huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really the underlying um struggle, I think, to just try to help students realize that they deserve to be treated well, and they
Mm-hmm.
deserve to be able to ask for what they need. That it's not their fault. That
Right.
typically it's usually adults that have created the difficulty around them that has led them to be either in a big conflict with their families or just unable to be living with their
Yeah.
families. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's tough.
We all feel it. Students are struggling more than ever with emotional and behavioral challenges. Lighthouse Therapy offers virtual, hybrid, and in person behavioral and mental health support that builds around your school environment. Our licensed professionals are trauma informed, experienced, and trained to work with K 12 students and staff. You don't get a cookie cutter approach, you get a partner who listens, adapts, and builds trust. Because when students feel safe and seen, they thrive. Learn how you can get support at your school at lighthouse-therapy.com/brighter together.
It's
Yeah.
tough.
And for those that are listening, you are worthy. You are
Yeah.
enough.
Yep.
Everybody is worthy of
Yep.
a life and of a good life.
Yep.
And it's tragic that people feel that way. And
Yeah.
we live in a society where social emotional, that's a big buzzword right now, but
Yep.
social emotional awareness is growing and
Yep.
I'm glad,
Yep.
but it's just so, and the suicide rates during COVID and
Mhm.
since, and
Mhm.
just is, we just really need them to see that they
Yeah.
are seen and that they are loved and that somebody really does care,
Right. Yep.
and that's it, it's critical.
It is. And
It's
the other
critical.
side of that is, for those of you who are listening, is that you can make a difference in anybody's life
Hmm.
at
Yes.
the drop of a hat. Just reaching out and supporting local um local programs and services,
Hmm.
just even if it's, a 2 hours of volunteering a month or something, you can make a difference in kids' lives like every single day. And
Yeah.
or even obviously there's a huge cry and need across the country in terms of homeless issues. I do kind of like spend my time thinking about those teenagers more than I do everybody else, but just because I feel like
Yeah.
there's nobody else is really thinking about them. So
Hmm.
anyways, but you can make a difference every
You
single
can.
day. Yeah.
Absolutely, every single day. I'll tell you, one of the things Lighthouse, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn here because believe me, there's so much more that needs to be
Yeah.
done. But we have corporately supported an organization called Destiny Rescue,
Uh-huh.
and they rescue kids from sexual slavery.
Yeah.
And it's like those. I mean, I work with kids all day long,
Yep.
and I know some of those kids that are
Yep.
in those situations
Yep.
are special needs kids,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
any of them, they don't deserve that. They
Right.
don't deserve that. And sometimes it's poverty that puts them in there,
Yep.
and sometimes it's an evil person, and sometimes it's
Yep.
their own parents. And
Yep.
it just,
Yeah.
and one of the things
Tough.
that they do that is so amazing is they don't just rescue the kids and get them out of the situation, because if
Yep.
you don't do anything beyond
Yep.
that,
Yep.
90% of them return to
Yeah.
that life because it's
Well,
all
they
they
don't know what else to
know.
do. Right.
Right. So they have a program afterwards, and I wish I knew off the top of my head what it was called, but you can find Destiny Rescue if you search it. But they are, and I keep promoting them because
Yep.
I'm so proud of what they're doing, and I'm so proud
Yep.
to be a part of it. Even
Yep.
though we're just corporate sponsors, we're
Yep.
still,
Yep.
every dollar that we put, and they're a company, they're a company that every dollar that they absolutely can goes to
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
funding of rescuing those kids. So
Yeah. It
it's the
is.
same kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And it's difficult for people who live in a normal world
Mm-hmm.
to realize that this kind of really sad and tragic situations are happening, and they don't just happen in Texas, and they don't just happen in
Mm-hmm.
Los Angeles. They actually happen all around us in our small towns. That's been the biggest struggle, honestly, to help people recognize that homelessness is here
Mm-hmm.
in little, small town Maine,
Mm-hmm.
and that we can do things about it,
Right.
but you got to acknowledge it. And
Yeah.
that's a similar with we have similar situations where We have organizations that support the sex trafficking and
Hmm.
to stop the I mean, it's just, but it's a hard thing to swallow. People really
Yeah.
struggle with this. Is this really happening? Like, yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunately, it
It's a
really is.
billion dollar, a multi-billion dollar
Crazy.
a year
Yeah,
industry. It's
yeah,
insane. It's
it is
absolutely insane.
insane. Yeah.
And there are people that are in front of you that you
Hmm.
don't even
Yeah.
know what they're going through.
Hmm.
And,
Yeah.
so it's like when you go out, it makes you see people differently,
Yeah.
not in a bad way, but in a
Yeah.
way of, if I can love on you for that 2 minutes that
Yeah.
I am in front of you or at the store with you or whatever,
Mhm.
or if you're reaching up for something and you happen to be riding a scooter, it's just
Yep.
kindness, just
Yes.
taking care of
Yep.
human beings, being
Yep.
a human to other humans. And I know we're busy. We're all busy and we all
Yep.
have things. And, I'm going to get that milk and those eggs
Yep.
and that's all I'm here for.
Yep. Yep.
But, just that one act of kindness, you never know what it's going to do for
It's
somebody's
true.
day.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%. So
I have a
that's,
shirt that says "You are enough" on it, and then
yep.
there's a saying on the back that that you're valued and stuff. And I'll tell you, every time I wear that shirt, it's just a T-shirt. I got one
Yep.
for my son because he lost a friend that committed suicide in
Yep.
18, and just
Yep.
last year. It's
Yep.
tragic,
Tragic. Yep.
tragic,
Yep.
and it's one of those things. And I think I've said it before on this podcast. People just get it and
Yep.
they react to that shirt every single time I wear
I
it
bet.
because
I bet.
I always make sure my hair's up in the back so people
Yep.
can read it the back, because I have long hair.
Yep.
But yeah, it's
That's it.
amazing. It's
Yeah.
just there's so
Awesome.
many, and that it's one random act of kindness.
Yep.
Yeah. So
100%. Yep.
so
That's
good
so
for
true.
you. Good for you.
Thanks.
Kudos to what
Yeah.
you're doing.
Thanks.
So beyond that,
Yeah.
what are some of the other? We can do about 5, 10 more minutes,
Yep.
and I just wanted to give you an opportunity. What else is going on in your district? What are some of the challenges that you're seeing this year coming up?
So, I think like in every school system across the country, there's a lot of challenges regarding the political climate that we're in and the
Yeah.
difficulties that that brings with us. And I am not a raging liberal, but I am definitely not a conservative. And I'm finding that we are so like at loggerheads about what's best for
Mm-hmm.
students and all of the funding issues that are coming down. It's been a really difficult couple of years. I think this has been harder than COVID, honestly.
Mm.
And COVID
Mm.
was not simple. That was not
Yeah.
easy. But what is happening right now is so politically charged and so personal. Like
Mm-hmm.
people are taking things to a level of um I don't know.
Extreme.
It's
Yeah.
kind of yeah, extreme
There's an
and it's
extreme.
crazy.
There's
So and
on
we're
both
caught in the
sides.
middle. As a
Yeah.
public school system, we are caught in a place of like we have to be we have to take care of our students, right? That's our
Mm-hmm.
first charge, reading, writing, but it's also um, the whole piece about social emotional learning. Our kids need us to be able to provide good role models and good supports and good modeling, and that's hard. It's
Yeah.
hard, and we have a very small faction of folks who are very anti-public school, but are
Mm.
living in our world, and are pushing back on anything that's considered to be the DEI word, diversity, equity, inclusion. Lord, are we talking about?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm a special educator at heart. That was my first job. I was 10 years as a teacher, a special ed teacher at the high school level, and then I was a special ed director before I became the assistant superintendent. And so, you know, my first thinking when I think about DEI and inclusion is like taking care of those kids and
Yeah.
making sure that
Yeah.
they have equal opportunities and spread it out. And
Mm-hmm.
that just radiates from there. So there,
Right.
it's not a dirty word, but
Yeah.
wow, has it become difficult?
Yeah. And I
So
think
those are
I
the things.
think it swung so far to the point that some people felt like um it
Yep,
was discrimination on the other
yep,
end.
yep,
And I try to stay very neutral as well.
yep,
I'm
yep,
not I have my opinions about
yep,
everything as well, but
yep,
the thing I always say is it either side of the aisle. I don't
yep,
care what side of the aisle you're
yep,
on, whether you're a
yep,
conservative or a raging liberal or a
yep,
raging conservative.
yep.
Everybody on that entire spectrum cares
Mhm.
about kids.
It
Everybody
should,
loves kids
yeah,
and
yeah,
wants what's best for kids. It's
mhm,
just we have become so divided
yep,
in this country, and we just need to come back to the middle and take
yep,
care of the kids. If
yep,
we can, and that's why Lighthouse is doing this is,
yep,
it's like I'm tired of the political rhetoric that says that
yep,
all of our schools are failing and
yep,
nobody's doing a good
yep,
job and blah 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 blah, and
yep,
it's a talking point,
yep,
but it's not the truth when
Right.
you
It's not
dig
accurate.
down
Yeah.
into what is truly happening.
Yeah.
And if you're only looking at test scores and you are not looking at people like Susan Austin and all of
Hmm.
the other people that are in the trenches every
Yeah.
single day fighting for these kids, you're missing the point. And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
Lighthouse is doing
Well,
Brighter
I
Together.
appreciate that. I
Yeah.
appreciate it because it is really difficult to the rhetoric is tough right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but we just push forward and we're like, we're going to do what we can for our kids, the best that we can.
Yeah. And loving
Um,
on them and not
yeah,
making
well,
them
and
feel
making them good
ashamed
human
and
beings,
feeling,
right?
yeah.
They need to
Yeah.
be good humans.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the goal.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. One last question, and
Sure.
then we will wrap it up. But I try to
Okay.
ask this question. You can't say money because
Okay.
everybody needs more money.
Oh,
We
yeah,
know
yeah.
schools are
Yeah.
underfunded. They're
Yeah.
always underfunded. But if you
Hmm.
could miraculously, and I
Hmm.
say miraculously because
Hmm.
I am a Christian and I
Yeah.
do believe that
Me
that
too. Yeah.
God's there and He can do
Yeah.
amazing things. But
Yeah.
if you could miraculously solve one challenge in your school, what would you want to solve?
Oh, boy. There's a lot. So it's
Yeah.
just, and it isn't money, honestly, but it is,
Yeah.
um, belief, belief in the school systems,
Mm,
belief that
good
we're
one.
here to
Mm,
support our students and encourage thinking, creativity, um, ability to discern and to like really actually be educated. I would love for people to like just recognize that schools can and do provide good quality education and the ability for kids to um, become good citizens. Um,
right.
so that, I
Good
mean,
one.
that's a
That's a
piece
good
of it,
one.
but it's the reality that, we are in this together.
Hmm.
We should be working together, not against each other.
Right.
And I know people struggle with the word tolerance, but the reality of it is that we all need to be tolerant of each
Tolerant
other
of each other. Yeah, for
across the board,
sure.
right?
1000%. It
That
does
would
not.
be
Yeah.
so that like stop. Like, I guess I would always say that we are, you know, what is it? Positive intentionality, right?
Hmm.
That we're all
Yeah.
doing this for positive intentions, not for negativity. Now, other
Yeah.
than that, if you could solve the issues regarding making sure that kids come to school fed,
Hmm.
if
Yeah.
they could be
Ready to
well
learn.
housed
Yeah.
at night and have good rest and all that kind of stuff, that would be the miraculous piece of it,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
But I love that.
finding
I
that.
love that fact that, because, everybody, I was at a conference and I don't know if you know Joe Sanfilippo. He's
Hmm.
amazing.
Hmm.
He was talking at this conference that I was at and I followed him for a while on
Yep.
LinkedIn and I'm trying to get him on this podcast. So Joe,
Yeah.
if you're listening, I need you to respond.
It's
Anyway,
right.
yeah, it's time. It's time. Come on, Joe. But I love what he said in that because he said everybody has an opinion about
Yep.
school
Hmm.
because of their
Yes,
experience.
of course.
And they
Right.
bring that to the table
They do.
because everybody went to school and
Yep.
that's not the reality of what's
No,
happening. And
that's right.
it was such a good point. And I
Yep.
just love
Yep.
the fact that yes, everybody's got an opinion.
Hmm.
Everybody's got one, but
Hmm.
when you only look at it from the lens of that,
Yep.
you are not seeing the reality of what's happening. And that's why Brighter
Yep.
Together exists. We're just getting it
Yeah.
out there and we're
Woo.
talking about the amazing things that people are doing. And
That's awesome. Yeah.
so
Appreciate it.
Susan, yeah. So
Yes.
tell us if someone wants to learn some more about you, because this has been such a great conversation. I
Yep.
really appreciate
Sure.
what you're doing and the fact that you're willing to come on and
Yep.
talk about it.
Sure.
Where do they go? Where should people go to
So
find out more?
I think the easiest way to get to me and to learn more about like even just the addressing teen homelessness is our website. It's the www.theryanhomeproject.org. That's a great site to just kind of learn about that. And then it ties, I'm the executive director of that. So if you
Nice.
email that or whatever, do anything, message me. I'm happy to talk about any of it. And then our district website is rsu60.org. So those are the two places. But I would love to talk to anybody out there who's interested in making a difference in terms of unaccompanied youth
Yeah.
throughout the country, because that's a big piece for me is like, how do I help people organize in their own towns to support kids?
Right. And that's such a big win
It's huge,
because
and
yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah,
huge,
yeah.
and we do it all without everything we do is um, basically through donations and funding.
Yeah,
We don't use any state or federal funding
yeah,
just
yeah,
because it's just easier to do it alone.
yeah.
Make
So
better decisions.
if you are Mr. Moneybags out
Yeah,
there and
yeah, come
you
see
heard
me.
this, come and send her an email
Yeah,
and give her
I
a
would love it.
donation. She's
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
amazing things. Yeah,
TheRyanHomeProject.org, that's the place to go. But yeah,
awesome.
I appreciate that actually a lot because I
Yeah.
think we're looking to figure out how to sustain this in every community at some level
Hmm.
because every community is struggling with it.
Yeah, and every child matters. Every
Everyone. Yep.
single
They're
child.
amazing.
Yeah,
That's the
they
thing.
are.
So these kids
Yeah.
that have been struggling are so resilient and
Hmm.
so like it's amazing that they're still walking and going towards going to school and doing the things that they're doing because their lives have been so tough.
Yeah.
So let's take
Yeah.
care of them. That's the goal.
Let's take care of them. Let's
Yeah,
do. Let's do.
let's do it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Well, Susan, thank you again for being on the Brighter Together podcast because we
Thanks for
really
having
are
me.
brighter
Yeah,
together, right?
this is great. Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. Perfect.
Thanks.